You are listening to GMR Radio. And now, the Great Movie Radio Show.
All right, everyone. Clyde on the set. Places. We've got a show to make here. Are Chris and Gabe ready? They are. Okay, everyone. In 3, 2, 1, and... Coming to you live from sunny Orlando, Florida, it's the Great Movie Radio Show, a movie talk podcast starring Chris and Gabe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Great Movie Radio Show. Chris here with my awesome co-host, Gabe. How you doing, buddy?
You called me awesome. Thanks.
I always do.
Do you? I don't remember.
I try to. I've called you lovely. I've called you awesome.
Most excellent. Your Highness.
Most excellent.
Wait,
station.
The last one was in my mind. Okay. No, I'm doing great. Getting a little sad.
This is our last around the track.
I know. Of season one. Of season one, everybody. Yeah. But no, I am excited for our guests. I'm adding the S there.
Guests
tonight. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one, as we've already talked for like 20 minutes of nonsense before we started recording.
Well, it's always nonsense with these two, and that's why when we were figuring out who to put together for the last few episodes, I was like, why don't we have both of them? Why not? Because individually they are amazing, but together it's like a super mega lion robot, you know? So why not have Stephen Newport and Sean Cumberland on an episode together of the Great Movie Radio Show?
Oh my god, it's good to be here.
Good to be here. I don't appreciate getting second billing, but
he deserves it.
But other than that, no, I'm really excited about it.
Well, we went in alphabetical order, but in reverse.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say we went reverse alphabetical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll let you guys fight over
know
the
where
billing.
The real star power lies. So that's all right.
My
name comes first. So
announcing the episode, it'll be Sean first and Steven second, but in the episode. So it's like you guys get the swap. I don't know.
Okay, that's a fair compromise.
Yeah. As long as someone ends up unhappy, I'll be happy. Yeah.
But if you're the person who winds up unhappy and then you're happy about it, that's a major paradox.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a paradox, all right. See, we're already off to a great start here.
We're already off the rails, and we haven't even really gotten through the introduction yet.
Sean and Steve, so great to have you guys on the show. Steve, I didn't actually have the pleasure of working with you, but I met you after starting working there because you still knew everyone working. Mm-hmm. And Sean, I had the pleasure of working with you personally. And anytime you guys are around, I had to hold back from laughing as much as I probably would because it was just ridiculous, the nonsense you two got up to in the conversations, which is why we're already 30 minutes late on this episode. It's just it's wonderful. No, I love the comedic banter. You guys remind me of like a contemporary Abbott and Costello, and it's just the most wonderful thing. So like I said, when we were putting the episodes together, I couldn't not have you guys as a pair for this because, I mean, yeah, you guys are amazing. And thanks for being on the show.
And I think truly nonsense is the true spirit of GMR.
Every interaction I've had with you at Great Movie Radio, you were very professional, very stern, and very serious. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Angry at times.
Describe me and him.
Gabe, what was it you said one time right before you went out to pull some shenanigans? You looked at everyone in Gangster and said, I have, you'll have to bleep this out, but I have on all you that is, I'm fairly sure, a direct quote. You're going to have to bleep that out, and I'm sorry, but
I think that
was really you doing the cursing, not me.
I think there was more to it. I think I said, if you guys snitch, I have on all of you. That was because I shot my gun backstage.
That's what it was. Okay, now you're right.
Who's gonna
You shot your gun backstage?
Yeah, I was like pulling the trigger, uncocking it, doing it back and forth, and finally went pop, and I went.
Doing that.
Wonderful.
Anyway, no, it's been fun. We should get on with it though. We should probably get on with the show.
We should probably get on with the show. Oh man, he just wanted to drop that.
I dropped it in there. Yeah, it's all true though.
You did. When did you work at Great Movie Ride, and what did you do there?
Well, it's patchy at best, my memory. No, actually, I came to Hollywood Studios in 2010. I started working at the Great Movie Ride right after the Star Tours had closed down for the new refurbishment. So I went over to Movie Ride. I was really excited. I was there from 2010 to 2013. I did like most people. I started as a tour guide, went to Gangster, and then to Bandit. It was neat to be full-time at Hollywood Studios at the time because there were options, and Movie Ride was 3 really good options every time. So I was happy to play all 3 roles. It was usually laughs because, if you weren't laughing, you were crying, so you might as well laugh.
Ain't that the truth? Sean, what about you?
But yeah, it was pretty good.
My name is Sean, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hello, Sean.
My last drink was about 30 minutes ago.
That's a different meeting.
Okay. The Great Movie Ride, right. I started there on a college program way back in the fall of 2008. Went back home for a little while, wound up coming back at the end of 2009, and left and came back a couple of times, but was there until the very end. Actually wound up being the very last bandit on the Last Day show, as well as the gangster who got to be in the recording for the Disney Archive, so that was pretty cool. But I did all the roles: tour guide, gangster, bandit. They let me train people for a while, which wasn't as much of a mistake as you might think, and they let me coordinate for a while. That was a huge mistake. Absolutely should not have done it. For a while, they thought about letting me be a show observer, but then I got caught waving the dynamite in people's faces and tickling people's hands in Bandit, and I was like, okay, no, we're not going to do this. They stopped that from happening before it happened, which was a good move in retrospect.
I can imagine. So, and it's ironic that you were the last Bandit because this episode is the last Bandit episode of the season for us. All things come together here at the Great Movie Radio Show.
Oh yeah.
Steve, what was your favorite position at the ride?
At the ride. Now let's see.
At the ride.
No, it's true. My favorite position is it's tough. I gotta say, for me, it's always been Gangster though. I love this show. Bandit was super fun. You got to blow some stuff up, but for me, I guess it's because I'm from Arizona. I had played a cowboy and did some stuff. Gangster was cool. It was Chicago. It was dark in there. I felt like I was in the '89 Batman movie when we were on that set. So for me, I always just thought it was cool.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts. Oh man, we could do a whole show about that for me.
That's my favorite quote from Batman. It's great.
Cashews or walnuts?
I'm an almond person.
If you didn't say that, Gabe, I was about to.
There you go. Sean, what about you? What was your favorite?
For me, I had a great affinity for Kid Carson. The Bandit character was my absolute favorite to play. For me, Muggsy, I always played him kind of as a fairly angry at the world kind of guy, which was just still fun to play, but I could wear on me for a while. Kid was a little bit more goofy. He was having a little bit of a better time. He was a criminal. He was dumb, but he kind of meant well. I always felt Kid had a good heart. I just had a lot of fun with him and being ridiculous as I could as Kid Carson. I think that really gave me the best chance to be as ridiculous and stupid as possible.
That must have been a stretch for you.
It must have been.
I always remember if you were the bandit on my vehicle that you did this for most of them, I'm sure, but I always heard you singing "Blood on the Saddle" going up to get the jewel.
I don't know what you're talking about. Are you a cop?
I would. Maybe. No, I'm just kidding. I would always...
If you're a cop, you have to tell us you're a cop.
I know.
Legally.
But I would always chuckle when I'm standing there in the robes and I hear "Blood on the Saddle."
And blood all around. I would do that. I'd sometimes do other songs.
That would sound like Tom Waits.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
It was kind of. That was good.
It was, yeah. Well, I just did them gravelly. That's certainly the key component of Tom Waits' voice. But I don't know. I stole a lot of stuff from Mark Stevens. He used to sing things like she'll be coming around the mountain and things like that. I was like, I like that. I'm gonna see what else I can do on this. So I did mostly Blood on the Saddle, but I threw in different things as time went on. We'll Meet Again for the last few Bandit shows.
Oh man, that's great. I would have cried. Steve, what was your? Do you have like a favorite memory from working? I know there's probably plenty, but do you have like
I know,
one?
That's the thing. To pick one favorite memory is like parents picking a favorite child. You know, they all have one, but they don't tell you. So like, I would.
Man,
like a single favorite memory. Like I don't know a specific one. I do have one. I'm gonna tell it. It doesn't matter anymore because it's not there. I can't get a reprimand or anything.
You don't even work for the company.
Technically, that's true. Too.
Or
so,
can you?
My it wouldn't matter to me. But anyway, there was this time when I'll try to shorten down the story. The B show didn't go off at all, and the tour guide was a newer guy. He was a wonderful guy, but we were friends already. But he was flustered that the show didn't go off. And his gangster was actually a friend of ours, Dave Fesky, was the gangster in that scene. And nothing had happened.
Hey!
So after the tour guide scene, I went out down there. I went down to the bottom, and I was like, yo, Muggsy, you get out of Chicago. You know, just the little stuff, whatever. Boom, boom, fired a couple shots. He turned on the stage, did his thing, did that. I went back up there because, it kind of saved the moment. Everything was fine. And they were like, were you just firing that gun down there? And I was like, I guess, And then... So nobody really cared because I wasn't in trouble. And there were people there that were the kind of people who might present that forward as a safety issue, let's say. And but there was nothing bad happened to it and this and that. And I was talking to one of the managers a little bit later about that story. And I was like, well, it's a prop. And, it's improper prop safety, I guess. But if it's a gun, that's fine. You can just give us back pay for 20 years of using guns and live firearms like they get over at Indiana Jones. And it ended right there, But it was fun. It's little stuff like that. As long as you have like a fun way to get out of anything, that's it. Like that was it. I would never go so far as to call myself untouchable or anything. But I always had a gift of like doing something and then somebody else did it and they got in trouble. Or whatever. It was a double standard. I didn't like that.
It's an ability to get away with stuff, which I think both you and I have had at times.
But show breakdowns usually led to some of the best memories, I think. Things like that.
Listen, I just want to say, I think you handled it wrong. What you do is when you go back up, you look at them, and you say, if you guys snitch, I have beep on all of you.
There you go. You see, I should have thought of that.
That's what I would have done. That's what I would have done. I'm just, but that's just me. It never happened.
That's gonna be the show tagline for season 2.
On all of you. Yeah.
It's gonna be great. Sean, do you have a favorite memory?
I have a lot of wonderful memories. Obviously, I was there for 9 years, and I'm going to go through 9 years worth of memories here in an
hour-long show.
This is going to be longer than an hour show anyway. That's it. It's fine. We're all fine. I don't have to edit it. It's not my problem. Yeah. But I certainly feel very privileged to have gotten to take part in a lot of the things that happened at the end, as bittersweet as all that was. But my favorite day, I think, it was a day in December of 2014. It was like a week or like a few days before the holiday rush.
A Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday. It was a brisk Tuesday in December in Florida.
3 p.m.
I was working a 13-hour bandit shift, and those shifts can be rough. Like, as Gray's characters was working, those kind of long shifts could be rough. But for whatever reason, everyone in characters that day was just up for a good time. Like, there was crazy stuff happening with the gangsters. At one point, a couple of the gangsters were floating through space in the alien scene. We actually were overstaffed for a little bit, so I had a long break. So I, as a bandit then, I had locked my gun up and I put a banana in my holster and was hiding at the bottom of the gangster stairs, pointing my banana at the tour guide as they had to go off stage and scaring them. At the end of that same day, there was actually a story that I think has already been told on this podcast, where Dave Fesky re-hijacked a bandit show from Jennifer Duvall. And it was there were just so many shenanigans that day, so many awesome people that I had such a great time working with. So, like, if I'm to pick like one day of my 9 years at GMR, that's the one that I always think about. But a lot of other great memories like that as well.
Oh man, it's funny because you mentioned that it goes in the correlation with Dave's story. I I want to say I worked that day, and I experienced a little bit of the shenanigans, because like you said, it was December 2014, so I was there. But I don't think I was there for, like, the closing bit of it, or at least I wasn't, like...
No, you were opening on Tuesdays, so...
Yeah, right? I don't know. So,
but from open till close, everyone was just so much fun, ready to make it fun. It was just like, it was like the most ideal day. I think it was just, I look upon that day so fondly all the time now.
Highlight reel GMR.
Yeah.
There you go. Steven, you got anyone you're going to give a shout out to, like trainers that you had helped you get to where you were, or people that you may have trained? I don't know, I can't remember if you were a trainer or not, but...
Luckily for people at Movie Ride, I was not a trainer.
Lucky for them.
I know, right? They had me over at Star Tours a lot because we opened the new one in the midst of all that. So, but of my time there, so I got kind of stretched into that pretty thin over there in 2011 to 12. But
you did assess me at Star Tours, though. If you count going on a bike ride to the prop shop as actually assessing someone.
Hey, you can't tell that story without mentioning we rode through Catastrophe Canyon as well.
I'm very sorry. You're right.
But no, that was why I didn't get to train at Movie Ride, because my training at Star Tours took us on all sorts of wacky adventures into Club Disney. But what was the question?
Did you want to give a shout out to any trainers or people who helped out at GMR?
Rebecca Sykes trained me. That was super fun, and I want to give a shout out if Michael Fargnoli ever listens to this too, just because he was one of those first guys there that was like, you're gonna have some fun with this. I can tell you're a performer, and just make that fun, because a lot of people were those, and it wasn't necessarily so, but a lot of people were like, oh, just get the words. But whenever anybody was like, hey, good use of talent, I always kind of went that way. I didn't want to do the show wrong, but I also thought it was more important to be entertaining.
Than how you were delivering it, the performance you were putting into it was much more important than the actual words. But as a trainer, you couldn't say that.
But those two and Betsy Kopp did a little bit with me, I think, as well. And it was a long time ago, but it was a good time.
Always a good time. Sean, what about you? Any shout-outs to any people?
I'll call out, I'll shout out to all my trainers. And I was trained mostly by Kristen Kemper and tour guide. I also had a day with Pat Dooley, who really started to make me feel comfortable at the ride. I was assessed by Chris Lanham. Then for Gangster, I had Matt Cram, who was a big influence and supporter of mine, and I'm still very grateful to both him and Pat for a lot of their support during my earlier time at the ride when everyone thought I was just a weirdo. And I also had help with that with Bridget Henry as well. And for Bandit, I had Nicolette Zinger and an assessment by Michael Fargnoli.
I was about to start the walkaway music like at the awards.
You can edit all that.
They're calling time. Look,
you asked, then I have to name everybody. I look like a jerk if I forgot somebody.
I think he did.
I'm sure I did forget someone, and I'm a jerk.
Yeah.
Hey, Gabe, I think it's time to do top 5.
Ooh.
All right, let's go.
And now, it's time for Top 5.
Let's do it.
I was going to try to throw you off and pretend that I was muted, and I was like, no, because then we'll be here all day.
I know.
That's the whole running joke. I forget to unmute myself a lot of the times.
A lot.
You just talk for 3 straight minutes, and then you look up and your story's not there.
No, I just start talking, and then I go, nobody's responding. And then I hear Gabe, and I go, oh, there it is. Okay, cool. So, Sean, your top 5, number 1 is the Empire Strikes Back. What about it makes it your number 1 movie?
Well, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and that's... It's very cliche to say that that's the best one, but I'm just going to be cliche and just say that I enjoyed a lot. It takes the characters further. It gets darker. You have the big reveal that everybody knows. If I'm to watch any movie at any given time, Empire Strikes Back. I didn't say what I didn't say what it was. Did I say what it was?
You didn't
no, you're fine. I was
being Darth Vader.
Right.
Spoiler alert! You didn't tell us.
Yeah. The thing is, the Jedi Master is this short little green Muppet, which is a surprise. But that's the one.
Jar Jar Binks.
I think that was his name.
I'm waiting for his Star Wars story.
All right, so Steve, we're going to jump over to your list. Your number one is Star Wars as well, but it's A New Hope. Now, Sean already said his is the best one. Do you disagree? I mean, I would think you would have to.
He's never seen Empire Strikes Back.
The thing about Empire Strikes Back, I assume, I've never seen it. No, I've obviously never seen Empire Strikes Back. But for me, A New Hope was my introduction to Star Wars. It was my introduction to sci-fi, basically, honestly. And I think my childhood nostalgia for that movie outweighs the fact that Empire might be a better movie. And actually probably is a little bit better movie. But I really liked Alec Guinness. I really loved Harrison Ford. I just thought it was so cool to see them like that, and I thought Carrie's little ear buns were cute, like all of the hair buns. I mean,
it started it all. We wouldn't have any of the other movies without that.
So for me, Star Wars: A New Hope, or just Star Wars, or whatever you want to call it, from back in the day. That was my first jump into sci-fi, and anybody who knows me knows I love science fiction, a different Star franchise, perhaps a little bit more. But it was just it captivated me, and it got me going into this larger world.
Nice. So the next one you both share, and it wouldn't be a great movie radio show while I've been co-hosting if we didn't talk about one of these three wonderful movies. You both have Back to the Future. You guys fight it out. Just let me know, each of you guys, why this made your list. I mean, I know why.
I mean, it's a perfect movie, right? Can we just leave it at it? It's a perfect movie from the way it sets
obviously
everything up to the way it pays it off. It's
Leah Thompson.
1985 Leah Thompson, definitely a high on that list there.
There we go. That's all we need to know. That's it.
The music was. Yeah, that's it. We're done. I don't know.
No, yeah. The music was great.
The casting was great. The car was great. The story was so much fun.
Yeah, the way they transformed the sets from the 1985 version to the 1955 version, showing it in those different ways. The plot is so cohesive. I can watch it at any point.
I will say one thing, though, and this is an honest-to-goodness truth. I almost will never watch Back to the Future without watching Back to the Futures 2 and 3 in the same sitting. So I usually have a 5-hour block of time I'm watching.
I believe you and I have done that multiple times. Yeah. As recently as 2 months ago.
You just want to keep rolling with it. And so I've always thought that Back to the Future just is that kind of franchise.
I love the whole trilogy, but I think the first one is unquestionably the best put together movie. Mm-hmm. To me, the second one is maybe more interesting in a lot of ways.
I love The Future, which
was
a few years ago.
Yeah. You
love going back
you and me
to
and another movie writer, Callie Blankenship, hosted a big party on the day in 2015 that Marty McFly wrote. It was October 21st?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah, we paid attention to a lot of detail on that. So.
It was so much fun to see Marty and... Well, we never saw Marty, actually, but we actually went to Universal that day, and we met Doc Brown, and I was dressed as Marty McFly, and Sean was dressed as Donald Trump.
The alternate 1985 Biff Tannen, which was clearly based on Donald Trump, and that's not me just saying that. They actually say that in the commentary.
It's kind of neat. You got the hair and everything.
Yeah, had the wig.
We had so much fun that day, and Back to the Future was the reason.
That's awesome. All right, Sean, so we're going to jump to your number 3 movie now. It's already featured in the ride, but don't worry, we're not going over the track just yet. Alien, not to be confused with Aliens, the sequel. What about Alien makes it your third? Oh, well, I mean, true. Or Prometheus, or the list could keep going.
Yeah,
but
we don't
what
have
about
time for that.
Yeah, no, the internet will cut out by then. What about it makes it your third favorite movie?
It's just one I can watch all the time. It was my favorite scene on the ride, and just the way the suspense builds, and just the iconicness. Is iconicness a word of the creature? And
it is today.
Performance. Iconicness? Nah, it's not a word. Just pretend I never said that 3 times.
We're adding it to the official GMR Show dictionary.
Love that.
It's in there. It's going in. 20 points in Scrabble. Yeah.
Nice. Steve, I'm very interested for yours. Batman Forever. I enjoy it. People don't. People don't really like...
I'm glad we're kind of on the same page about it. Yeah, go ahead and say your thing about it, though.
Because this is the one with, Uma Thurman, or is that Batman and Robin?
That's Batman and Robin. This is the one with Jim Carrey.
No, wait. No, this is the one with Jim Carrey, yes, and Tommy Lee Jones. I also like that one.
Yeah. And Val Kilmer plays Batman in that one. So.
And cool. Because of Jim Carrey's portrayal of the Riddler in this movie, That's what I was for Halloween, and I went to the barber shop and spent 2 hours for him trying to give me a flat top and then spray paint it orange. Didn't work. My mom just said, "We're just gonna shave your head and you're just gonna deal with it." And I said, "Fine, Mom."
Gosh.
But
and he's been shaving his head ever since.
No, back, Chris, back. Anyways, what about it makes it your number 3 favorite movie?
You know, it's really funny. It's one of those things that, like, it's another one that came from childhood. It hit me at just the right time. And just the aesthetic of it, it picks up on the Tim Burton stuff, which I know what everybody out there listening is thinking. Batman Returns and Batman are better movies. And you can say that, and you can think that, and you can mean it. But it's all about when it hit for me. I was just the right age for that to be my Batman movie, if that makes sense. So the sets, the costumes, the characters... I just loved pretty much everything about it, and you know, I think it came out in 1995, so I was 9 years old, and I was just noticing Nicole Kidman in the movie, and you know, but Val Kilmer was so great, and he would go on to be in one of my other favorite. Well, he had already been in one of my other favorite movies that I didn't like till I was older. That's Tombstone. That might come up. I just think it's stuck with me over time, and it's a movie I can watch any night of the week.
And don't forget "Kiss from a Rose" by Seal.
Oh yeah, no, the soundtrack too. Yeah. Good call.
But no, I completely agree with you. Because I remember watching Batman and Batman Returns, but this was like the first movie I was like, oh, there was like action and adventure, and I remember watching the other 2 movies as a kid, and I was like, oh, this is cool. But it wasn't until this movie I was like, oh, yeah. Batman, because I was, you know, like those movies came out earlier, and I'm sure we're around the same age, and we won't bring that up.
I think we're about the same age, we were like, because we have a lot of the same interests in that.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I like that. Sean, we're going to go to your... Right, no, that's not Sean's list. Just kidding. Here's Sean's list. There it is. Sean, your number 4, also just like number 3, was already featured on the ride, The Wizard of Oz. We've talked about it a little bit, but what about it makes your favorite movie?
I think it holds up so well despite being from 1939. The transition from black and white to color, the iconic performances of like, especially Burt Lauer's. My favorite in that is the Cowardly Lion. Just a little courage, that's all. And it's just so charming. It's just so pure and childish. I saw it when I was like 3 years old. I can watch it now and still enjoy it. I recently went to the drive-in to rewatch it. It's just a great movie no matter what your age is.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. That's like one of the few good things about this year and like coronavirus is the like what's the word I'm looking, like not rebranding, but
rebirth of the drive-in,
rebirth of the drive-in theater, and even just like you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even Chris's theater, they're bringing back old movies, and my fiance and I, we went to go see Empire Strikes Back and like XD, and I was like, this is amazing. And it's like, you know, some of these movies you get to see again on the big screen, and some of us weren't alive or were too young to remember those movies, so to see them again like on the big screen, like they were like intended to be watched, is just like really awesome and really cool. So I could see. I wish I would have known about the Wizard of Oz.
The drive-in's just a whole different kind of experience, a whole different way of experiencing a movie. And the one I went to see that was actually the one down in Lakeland, which used to be actually a popular get-together for movie writers.
Silver Moon, yeah.
Would take a lot of people down there. Silver Moon, yeah.
Nice. Steve, we're going to jump into your number 4. I'm just going to say, Sean, I love you, but I like Steve's list just a little bit better.
I appreciate that. I'm coming out ahead on this. Yeah.
You know, you were listed
it's not
first,
a competition, but you're winning.
Yeah. This is such a good movie, though. This one of my favorite things
yes.
at Universal. Before, you know, go ahead, Gabe.
Before it closed, yes.
Yeah.
But yes, your number 4 movie is Twister. Oh, great movie. I remember the ride at Universal, and the ride to me wasn't like scary. It was sitting in the pre-show.
Scary. It was just cool. It wasn't scary.
It was cool. But I was always freaked out in like the pre-show area in that like house and stuff, and like he was like, it's a finger of God, and I'm like, hi, I'm Bill Paxton.
In that. Yeah. And I love the fact that Helen Hunt wouldn't appear on the same screen as him. Yeah. I don't know what his decision was, but I know there was submissions. Yeah. They call the F5 the finger of God. Sometimes you don't know the difference between the movie and real life because you're taking a lot of drugs.
Sean, it's my turn. It's my turn.
Sean, there's a raise your hand button if you want to speak.
Oh, there's a raise your hand.
I can leave.
Holy crap.
I'm sorry.
Just kidding, man. No, Bill Paxton. Yeah, Sean was pointing it out. That pre-show on that ride where he stands there in his blue denim top and his blue jeans and his hands in his pocket. And you were pointing out when Helen Hunt comes on and he just glares at the screen she's on. Because they wouldn't appear together.
What went on the set of that movie?
They wouldn't appear together on it. But no, Twister has always been one of my favorite movies since the first time I saw it. Like, I didn't really know that it was an action movie or a science movie or what. I just thought it was fun. I liked the casting. There were some good, well-timed jokes in it. And, like, science-wise, it was fun to learn about, too. Like, tornadoes, this and that. So, people tornado hunting and chasing twisters like that. And it's just cool, and it's a movie, another one of the movies that I'll just watch anytime. But when we would go to Universal, Sean, you and I went a lot of times, that would be it. That finger of God thing really locked it in for me. I've made that joke many times with finger of God. You can imagine.
You can go. You know exactly where to go.
You can imagine the joke made with that. Yeah.
Use your imaginations, guys. Everybody listening, just use your imagination.
Is anybody still listening at this point?
No.
If I'm on
No. All the shenanigans have. I don't even think Chris is listening anymore.
Wait, I fell asleep. What happened?
I thought your internet
He's
went out
never
again.
listened to the
No,
show
I'm
at
good.
all.
Is he even still in the room? Yeah.
He's me.
He's here.
So we're gonna wrap up the top 5. Number 5 is a favorite of mine. It didn't make my list, Sean, but it is a favorite of mine, and it is a great choice. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? What about it makes it your favorite? Why did it make the list?
I love that guy.
Well, I think it's notable for being the only time, at least that I'm aware of, that you had Warner Brothers characters, Hanna-Barbera characters, Disney characters all appearing together. That great combination of live action and animation, the great performance by Bob Hoskins in that, and it's again just another one of those that I can watch all the time. I noticed as I was making my list that I put a lot of Robert Zemeckis stuff on that. I think I just tend to like the stuff that Robert Zemeckis does, but again, that's just something I can watch anytime and love it.
That's such a great choice. That's awesome.
No, it is. I remember this being like one of the first like movies I watched that wasn't like a Disney movie that featured cartoons, and then like you said, you see all these characters like, wait, I know them and them. They're usually not together, but they're together. This is awesome. So yeah, that's great. And then
it's
Steve,
kind of
we're
fun
gonna
to find out too. The reason they put Mickey and Bugs together is for contractual reasons. Warner Brothers agreed, so Bugs Bunny has to have the same amount of screen time as Mickey Mouse. Daffy Duck has to have the same screen time as Donald Duck.
I just want to see that contract, just to have it.
I mean, there was
I didn't
never a
even
deal
know
like
that.
that before, and I don't think there ever will be again.
It is cool.
Space Jam 5. Here we go.
Jam 5. There we go.
Well, once Disney and Warner Brothers merge together,
I'm
they're
sure
all
Yeah,
gonna
once
be
Disney
one
buys them out.
conglomerate
Oh
soon
my
enough.
god.
By the end of the year, I'm sure Disney will own that company too. Yeah.
And we'll still have to pay for more streaming services to watch it all.
And furlough them all. Sorry, I had
That's
to.
what it'll
Exactly.
be.
How dare you? All right, Steve. So we're gonna wrap up your list. Like we've talked about this movie, and unfortunately, I still haven't watched it. But it's on all the time on TV, but it's never on at the beginning. So I'm like, nope, can't. I'm one of those
You don't
people.
jump
I'm like,
in until you're ready. Yeah.
I have to be ready, and I want to see like the introduction, who produced it, everything, and then throw me into the movie. I can't just jump in the middle of a cowboy scene with shootout. But what about Tombstone makes it your number 5 favorite movie?
Oh man, it kind of goes back to some of the actors in that movie. That movie's got Kurt Russell. If you were an actor in that time period in the 90s and you were a major male star and you weren't Kevin Costner, you were in this movie. Kevin Costner would have been in the movie, but he actually had a falling out, and they made Wyatt Earp instead. But Tombstone was great. You had Kurt Russell, and you had Val Kilmer, who was Batman in my other favorite movie, so that makes sense. Their portrayals of those characters is so much fun for me. And when he comes in and says, "I'm your Huckleberry," or anything like that, or just Doc Holliday, the way Val Kilmer played him, nothing like Batman, mind you, of course. Imagine him using that voice as Batman. He's like, "I am vengeance, and I happen to also be the night, because I am, in fact, a Batman."
Oh,
we
Where
no
Gotham
longer
City is
friends,
somewhere in the Old
yeah.
West. That'd be an interesting.
But I just Val Kilmer to me again. I'll see any movie he was in probably just because of those two movies. But yeah, westerns, shoot 'em up. I'm from Arizona. I grew up out in the Old West, about more than 30 miles. But I grew up outside of Tombstone. We go there. It's about 2.5 hour drive. It's just cool to me. Cool history. Cool part of history.
Nice. Chris?
All right, we ready to do around the track? Because I am.
It's time to go around the track. Ready when you are, CB.
Let's start with Steven, since Sean did the top fives first. We're going to start with Steven, and we're going to go into musical now. Dun, 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 dun. And talk about The Music Man. 1948, directed by Will Jason. I have never seen it.
Most of my movies do tend to go back to my childhood, at least. It was one of the first musicals I'd seen besides Singing in the Rain, which was already on the right, of course. And The Music Man is just a lot of fun. It's about, if those of you who don't know the story, it's about a small town, and a traveling salesman comes through, and he's pretty much a con artist, but he comes in and tries to sell everybody in town on how their kids could be in a marching band. So he sells them all instruments and things, and, like a typical shuck and jive type of thing. But then he falls in love with somebody in the town, and it becomes more and more of a romance. He's invested in it, He becomes more invested in these people in the town of I think it's Gary, Indiana, because there's a song Gary, Indiana, Gary. It's in the movie, but it's just a lot of fun. It's a western too, actually, just because of when it takes place. It takes place in either the very early 1900s or late 1800s. Sorry, I don't remember exactly, but it's just that Main Street USA kind of feeling for the whole thing.
Huh. Again, I've never seen it. I've heard wonderful things about it. My grandmother was a big fan of it. She loved the musicals, and Music Man was one that she talked about a lot. I just never got around to see it. All right, so the fun part of our Around the Track is, do you have a scene from Music Man? And it's okay if you spoil it for me. I'll probably see it someday.
Someday it'll be
what
there.
What scene would you take from the Music Man and transcribe it to the musical segment of Great Movie Ride?
Well, it would take a lot of animatronics, but or at least animatronics that should move.
We got the money. Do it.
But it would take a lot of animatronics. Yeah. If the money's all there, it's the finale of the very finale of the movie. 76 Trombones is the big song, and the guy who had at one time been this salesman who was just there to make a buck and then leave town. These kids actually bought these instruments. They put the band together. The parents loved it. The kids loved it, and he discovered, hey, this can really happen. So he's marching down the street singing 76 trombones lead the big parade and 110 cornets close behind. And it goes on, of course. And he's there, and there's a whole marching band, and it's like a Main Street USA set, basically, because they're outside in there. And I would use that scene because it's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of fun, and it's the most iconic song in the movie. So
it sounds like it would flow well going into it, like the start you and get you pumped up to be in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And it's one of those songs that you'd probably walk away singing it after you'd heard it, or at least it would stick with you a little while later, kind of like Singing in the Rain does.
Exactly. Sean, for your musical choice, we're going to go with The Producers. But first I have to ask, is it the 67 Mel Brooks version or the remake?
I mean, if we're just asking which one I prefer, I'd probably prefer the original, but we're trying to do a musical, so I think the remake was the only one that was really a musical based directly on the Broadway version of it. If you go with the original movie, only had the one song in it, as I recall. Two songs, but that was it.
Fair enough.
So I don't know if it qualifies as a musical, so we'd have to go with the Nathan
Yeah,
Lane
you
version,
can.
I guess, just for that reason.
Well, what about it makes it a favorite of yours?
I mean, just the whole premise that they're trying to make a musical that's going to fail so they can make off with all the money. And, of course, what the actual musical itself is just hilarious, is in terrible taste as it might be, but that's the whole point, is they try to go with the thing that was in the most terrible taste.
Sounds right up your alley, Sean.
Yeah, it's exactly, of course. So, hence it's on my list, and of course the scene that we have to put on the ride is the iconic show-stopping number that being, of course, springtime for Hitler. All the stage arrangement that goes with it. Including,
if you didn't pick that, I was going to be very upset.
What else could you possibly pick?
Nothing. If you pick anything else, you're wrong.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about.
It's gotta be.
Now, could you actually do that in a theme park? Absolutely, you couldn't. But this is our version.
We could.
Well, I mean, you had the Nazi flag on the Indiana Jones plane for a little while.
Just historical context.
Yeah. But
historical context. I mean, we're making fun of it, so I mean,
but
as long as you know the contextual.
Won't think far enough.
Yeah, I know.
It's all about context. Exactly.
It is.
It's all about context.
And we can look at it in context. Do I trust the average theme park guest to look at it in context? Not necessarily.
We're going to go into the mob crime section. And Steven, your number 3 on your list of genre movies is Bonnie and Clyde, the 1967 Arthur Penn movie starring Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway. I have only seen bits and pieces of this, to the point where I don't think I even knew that Gene Hackman was in it. What makes this a favorite movie of yours?
Right. The fact that it's a favorite mob movie of mine, and that harkens back to a good friend of mine and fellow movie writer Jared Cassie. He's an older soul. He's not old at all. But he thinks he's like Methuselah, but he's like a couple years older than me. And he always loved this movie because he loved Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty, and so I watched it for the first time with him, and I really enjoyed it too because it's well paced, it's fun. It's not really meant to be fun, but it is fun just because it's a movie from that time period, and the action in it is gritty, and it really tells their story pretty well of the two characters. And going back to what scene would I put on the ride for that, it's the end of the movie, which is also the end of their lives, unfortunately. The police finally catch up to Bonnie and Clyde and shoot them in the car, and the car gets all shot up, and they die right there. Very gruesome. This is not a kid's ride, but that would be the most iconic scene to put in the movie of those two. Yeah.
Do you have a way that you think that you could fit that scene into correlation with if it was a gangster show?
I think honestly you could. If you're going through, you could be either hijacked by Bonnie or Clyde, which would be just fine. It would change the outcome of the movie for them, but that's kind of how the ride was anyway. They're stepping out of their zone. So either Bonnie or Clyde, it could be understood, was still in the car. And then after that shootout scene, the one that didn't die could step out and be like, whew, I made it. Sorry about him or her. And then they hijack
die
the
later.
vehicle, take it from the tour guide. And then they still die in Anubis the way we always do. But, they that would be it. They'd be like, sorry, I'm leaving you, Clyde. Give my regards to Satan or whatever. I don't know. See you in hell, Bonnie.
I mean, I don't know.
That sounds great.
Or
from a meta standpoint, then the rest of the ride is really the afterlife.
No.
Which I was thinking that later if we because Sean, on your horror, I'm gonna bring it up early. We never do, but your horror movie is Sixth Sense. If we do have the mob gangster of Bonnie and Clyde with Sixth Sense, there's a connection that we could have said afterlife, and the tour guide, ta-da, I see dead people. And it just
tie it all
we'll go back to that later.
But listen,
that's good.
Haley Joel Osment's animatronic has to then make Bonnie or Clyde realize that they've been dead the whole time, and then they just
they were actually shut up
and bring them peace.
That's not bad.
I'm going to throw out a wild idea. Why don't they both take over the vehicle? It's never happened before that there's two.
No, there's never been
more. Never happened before. So I don't know the logistics of how it would work.
Statements about that.
No.
Yeah, but I just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
we could put like a foot railing on the outside of the back of the vehicle with like a safety harness that they could clip onto.
Just jump on.
And somebody's driving and someone's out back just like shooting from the 6 o'clock, covering the vehicle,
or they just
onto the vehicle.
Or they're like, oh, it's a B vehicle. Don't load World 1.
Okay. Yeah, something. I don't know. That would be interesting too. I like that. That is really cool. Sean, for yours, we're going to talk about, and it's been talked about on the show before, but I've seen it since we've talked about it, so I would like to hear about your favoring toward Casino, the Martin Scorsese picture.
I saw that movie one time about 15 years ago, and I thought it was pretty good. And I had to write down 5 gangster movies. Like, hey, that's a gangster movie I've seen. And as I recall, Joe Pesci's in it, and I like Joe Pesci, so that's good.
Well, your first 3 are Godfather movies, and we've overstayed our welcome on Godfather. So.
And frankly, I don't hate Godfather 3, and I know that's going to make a lot of people hate me, but I like Godfather 3.
It insists upon itself.
That's Godfather
3. There's apparently a thing, and I posted it on Facebook recently, that Coppola is like recutting Godfather 3 to what he wanted and not the studio, because I guess that's what we got for Godfather 3. Haven't seen it yet, I don't know. But apparently a Coppola director's cut that's supposed to be more well taken is coming soon. At least it's I don't know if it's official, if it's a rumor. I don't know.
I'd watch it.
I thought the idea of him looking for redemption at the end of his life was actually very interesting. I'm always interested in the redemption of villainous characters, so that's probably why I actually kind of gravitate towards liking Godfather 3, even though everybody says it's awful.
Do you? I know we're going to go on more Casino. Unless, do you want to talk Godfather 3?
Are we?
You know what?
It's
no, I was going to say, if you know more
for
Godfather...
Casino, I think someone gets buried in the desert at the end, so that's probably the scene I'll use, because it's the scene I remember.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot of people getting buried throughout that entire movie, so...
Or you could have somebody get beaten to death in a cornfield, why not?
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, I think we can do that. I don't know if you'd be allowed to have the cornfield.
I mean...
You can have anything you want.
We could have, yeah.
There is no budget.
We could just have the cornfield
blend into the
entrance
beating
to Western.
To death. It's the cornfield.
Right.
Oh, because of people's allergies. I get you.
Yeah. Sorry, Angela.
Oh!
So, yeah, I guess we'll... do we just want to leave it at that for Gangster and move on? Or
that's all she wrote.
I suppose so. We'll go into Western, then we'll follow the cornfield into Western. See, it works.
Oh no, that's perfect. That is perfect.
See, there's always a way to make it happen.
It all works. The corn, there
we could bury someone else during the gangster scene, and then as you're riding in the Western, the cornfield is the transition, and yet another burial is occurring. It works.
Yeah, there needs to be a copious amount of death.
Yeah,
that's more in line with how the ride should have always been.
Yeah. I mean, the ride did have a fair amount of death for a ride at a family theme park.
We're going to redo GMR. I need more death, please.
Yeah, that's the main thing people always said.
I mean,
need
tour guide
more
gets
death.
blown up. Gangster and Bandit died. The tour guide got shot originally. So.
And the finale is just a montage of every Disney movie's parents' death.
It's just Bambi's mom dying.
Yeah, Mufasa, of course.
Yeah, Frozen, where the ship goes down. Yeah, it's all there.
Oh, well, the ultimate death is the fact the ride doesn't exist anymore. R.I.P. So.
Well, thanks for bringing that up.
R.I.P.
I'm sorry, I had to. I'm sad. Trust me, but I mean it's true.
Damn it, Chris.
It's the reality of it, though. Sadly, I wish it was still there, though. People are not going to get to see something of quality that a lot of people put a lot of effort into at one time. So
I know
it's really sad.
I'm just saying, and I said this before. Movie Ride was open when Obama was president. It never closed for him.
Oh God! Going into Western.
Give me 30 minutes.
We weren't originally going to cover this for Western, but because it's Gabe's favorite and someone else, both of them have it on their list, and he's going to be the bandit for this episode, why not be appropriate or last around the track for Season 1? Back to the Future 3 has made its wondrous return to the Around the Track
one of the greatest
segment.
Westerns of all time.
And both
next
of you...
250's.
Both of you have it on your list, and so it's like, why not? Really, why not?
Yeah.
It is the greatest Western of all time, followed closely by 50 Goes West. I'm just saying. That's all I'm going to say.
I need to rewatch that.
Good
I wonder if my VHS is still around somewhere.
Oh, man. So, Steven, we'll start with you. What makes Back to the Future 3 a favorite Western of yours, on top of the fact that you have to watch all three Back to the Futures when watching them?
I think for me... gosh, it's just so much fun from beginning to end. You could tell the cast was having a good time with that movie. They were back for the third one, which they filmed at the same time as the second one, I guess. So they knew what was, or like right after. So they knew what was going on there, that they were making a third one all along. But from part 2 going into production, but it was just so much fun for me because it has the sci-fi element of the time travel, but it is a Western in every way that a Western exists. The comedy is just right for me. The plot is a lot of fun for me, and just in general, I just think it's a great movie because it's a Back to the Future movie for one, but two, it does fit the Western genre.
Listen, it wouldn't be an episode if it wasn't mentioned at least once. We're now going to talk about the whole movie again, so it's like my episode all over again.
We're going to stop the podcast and just watch Back to the Future Part 3. That's the episode, everybody.
Don't act like I won't do that right now.
Don't you challenge me with a good time.
We're watching the whole damn trilogy.
We're starting with the first thing.
Oh, man. So, Sean, what makes Back to the Future Part 3 one of your favorites?
Well, it's one of very few Westerns I've seen, so that definitely puts it on my list of Westerns. But I really love, I think especially Thomas F. Wilson as Mad Dog Tannen. What's your name, dude? Go on, man. Like, my bandit character was partially inspired by Mad Dog Tannen. That ripping off him and Mark Stevens was how I got my whole stick.
I could see that. That and you would always sing Blood on the Saddle.
Yeah, that was ripping off someone else. I ripped off a lot of different people. I'm not there anymore, so I feel like they can't do anything to me, but maybe they can. And I don't know, I just love the whole Back to the Future trilogy. Again, more than once a year, I will sit down and watch all three back to back to back.
Back to back to back to the future.
I feel that. Oh, okay.
I know, I made that horrible joke. You're welcome.
Get out.
But to go on, my favorite scene of Back to the Future 3 has got to be at the end when they're on the train and Doc Brown is giving this perfectly good speech and the kid who plays his son is pointing at his crotch and goes, that is a scene.
Oh my God. We should put that on the ride. It should just be the bandit comes out and points at his crotch the whole time.
The kid's motioning at his crotch. That's it. The future's whatever you make it, so make it a good crotch.
Make it a good crotch.
Oh. That's fair, actually. Maybe that is true. I don't know. But, that's, all joking aside, that's a funny scene for the movie. I just love that whole thing. If I put a scene on the ride, though, it would be
that chase.
The chase. The train is there.
The
Doc Brown is on the, from the episode 2. Hoverboard, yeah. He's on the hoverboard, and he's rescuing Clara, and Marty's about to go off the bridge. That's my favorite scene.
And then we drive the tram off the bridge.
Oh, that's
into Clayton Ravine.
See, that's Jonash Ravine.
Yeah, Jonash Ravine, and that would be called Jess Ravine. What would you call it?
Ravine. Yeah. Sure. Eastwood Ravine. Yeah. But that's it.
There you go. And Sean, you agree with that scene, or do you have something different?
No. What other scene would you do?
Well, Gabe's gonna take over as our bandit and point at his crotch. And when we return, we're gonna go into sci-fi with Sean Cumberland and Stephen Newport here on the Great Movie Radio Show. We'll be right back.
Hold it right there, hombre. Woo-wee! You're listening to the Great Movie Radio Show starring Chris and Gabe, which means you hit the mother load. Don't any hombres move until we come back. Unless you want a belly full of lead.
Warning. Remain on this podcast. The advertisement you are experiencing is extremely dangerous. Proceed with caution.
Autumn Star Entertainment is an independent producer of movies and video. Their goal is to provide Hollywood-level entertainment for low to no budget. Check them out on Facebook.com/Autumn Star Entertainment or on Twitter at AutumnStarENT.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another episode of the Great Movie Radio Show starring Chris and Gabe. When you do, it means you're riding with us now, so hold on to your horses. Speaking of which, where are the horses?
Hi there, Great Movie Radio Show fans. My name is Dalton Burdett, and I'm here to tell you about the Movie Nights. Well, what are the Movie Nights? The Movie Nights are a small production company out of Orlando, Florida, responsible for award-winning short films, podcasts, and a variety of movie-loving content, and we are also new partners of the Great Movie Radio Show. So, for some more movie-loving content that you guys will probably enjoy, please head over to our YouTube channel, Movie Nights, and you can find the exact link at youtube.com/c/Movie Nights, and also be sure to listen to our podcast hosted by me and my partner Ryan Warner on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. And yes, Movie Nights is spelled with a K because we think we're clever.
That's a mighty fine territory you're heading into, Pilgrim. Time to get back to the Great Movie Radio Show starring Chris and Gabe. I wouldn't think about turning back if I was you. That is, if you want my opinion.
And we're back. I took over the vehicle. Chris is gone. This is perfect. This is going to set me up for the next episode, the Gabe Show.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Never mind. That's awkward. So let's forget what I just said and let's move on to the list. We're going to start off with Sean. Hopefully I don't butcher this. Ex Machina Machado.
Guy, Machina.
Yeah.
Caramel macchiato.
Cultured swine would call it X machine.
Oink oink, okay? Okay, so obviously I haven't seen it because I can't even pronounce the movie. So Sean, tell me a little bit about it and why it's your favorite.
It came out back around 2014, 2015, thereabouts. It's about how someone, sort of like a Mark Zuckerberg type, develops an artificial intelligence. What the hell's going on here? I'm trying not to break.
What am I missing? I'm texting my wife. You guys are losing it.
I think we need to rewind this whole thing.
Listen, this is why we don't do Skype for our recordings.
Starting next season, we're doing Skype, so get ready.
Face it, it's funny.
Stupid.
All right.
The movie came out in 2014, 2015, thereabouts. It's very psychological. It's about a character that's, I guess you could say, sort of a Mark Zuckerberg type, just a young genius who's created this search engine, and he's using that technology to create an artificial intelligence named Ava. And he's brought one of his employees to his retreat to test this out, and it's just very good. Ultimately, the moral of the story is don't trust women, even if they're robots. But at least that's what I took away from it.
Okay, all right, perfect. Before we get to what part of the movie you want to put in your ride, we're going to jump over to you, Steve, and talk about your movie. I have seen your movie, and I know how to pronounce it, and it's amazing. Galaxy Quest.
You mean Galaxy Quest?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Monster swine!
Damn it.
Yeah, Galaxy Quest.
Chris, are you sure you want me on this podcast? I can't even say that right. It's fine. So
I was muted, like you.
Hey!
It's come full circle now.
So besides the obvious reasons why it's an amazing movie, tell us a little bit why it's your favorite sci-fi.
For me, Galaxy Quest is my favorite science fiction movie because anybody who knows me will know my love of Star Trek. They'll also know my love of conventions, hosting and doing and being at conventions. And Galaxy Quest marries those almost perfectly to show what the life of a fandom is like in the sci-fi world, but also to show what a group of actors might be like. Because in this movie, you've got Tim Allen, amongst many other people, but I'm going to use Tim Allen as the example, as the captain of this starship, who was on a show several years ago and is now kind of in a washed-up position where he's almost a has-been, just like Captain Kirk or William Shatner, for that matter. Nothing against William Shatner. He's fantastic, but Tim played Shatner almost perfectly, in my opinion, in the sense that he had the nuances of, here's an actor that used to be famous for this one specific role, and he's still kind of riding that high as best as he can. And then what happens? something really unique because the aliens think it's all real. They bring him and his crew, and you get a really real-life look at what would happen to, say, the crew of Star Trek, for example. And that's why it's so fun for me. It's a real-life movie. It's a sci-fi movie, and it's just a heck of a lot of fun.
Nice, yeah. I mean, I love it. It's great, and an amazing cast. So
one of my favorite quotes is from that movie, too.
Oh, yeah. Don't leave us in suspense. What's the quote?
Oh, yeah.
Hello?
It got quiet. I was like, am I supposed to say it now? The part where Tony Shalhoub is dropping the rock monster in the ship to fight off the guys in the cargo bay, and he just giggles. He goes, it's the simple things in life you treasure. It's a great part.
Chris, it's pronounced Shalab.
No.
Cultured slide. Yeah, were you muted? You're muted, Gabe. Can't hear you.
He's muted! He's muted! Yes! That's the best!
I'm muted now.
All right.
Let's try this again. Sean, so we're going to jump back to you. What part of X Machete would you put in the Great Movie Radio Show ride?
It's tough because there's not a lot of action in it. It's very it's all in this compound. So I'd say either maybe the scene in the beginning where we're first being introduced to Ava, or maybe the grand finale, which I shouldn't reveal because you haven't seen the movie.
Spoilers. All right. And Steve, we're going to go over to you. Everybody's awaiting your response.
Man, it's tough with Galaxy Quest because there's a lot of fun scenes in there. I think I would choose the finale scene of, one of the final scenes of the movie, though. They're at the convention center, and the ship has crashed through the building, and the crew is coming back on stage and kind of waving and taking a bow. I think that's what I would use. I would have all of the crew members up on stage already. The ship is there. There's Roscoe smoke blowing because it just crashed through. That would be my scene.
And then all the guests ask, did Tim Allen spit on me? No, it's just a Roscoe smoke.
Oh, man.
Awesome. So we're going to jump into the action scene. So we'll start off with Sean, because, he's my favorite. Your movie is Kill Bill. Sadly, I have only seen bits and pieces of this movie. I haven't seen the full movie. So give me a quick little synopsis and why it's your favorite movie.
Well, a bride goes on a trail of revenge after on her wedding day. She and everyone in the wedding ceremony is killed, and it's thought that she's died, but she is actually alive, as was possibly her unborn child, as you find out at the end of part 1. So she goes on a trail to kill all these people, ultimately leading to kill, of course, Bill himself. It's filled with all kinds of action and great Quentin Tarantino dialogue.
So what about it makes it your favorite, though?
I don't know, man. I've been drinking.
Uma Thurman, blood and guts, fighting, the end.
That's, for me, Uma Thurman.
Yeah, you had me at Uma.
Me, Uma Thurman, yeah.
I love the fight at the end of part 1 with the crazy 88s. And
that would be the scene I would, with the 5, 6, 7, 8s there. That would probably be the scene I'd put in the ride. That'd be a high budget scene with all the blood and the water and all the characters.
The blood in the water.
Splash Zone. Gotcha. So, Steve, we're going to jump over to you. The only thing I know about your action movie is Taco Bell. That's all I know about it.
And the Taco 3 seashells.
What do you need to say?
No, but that's all I know.
That's all you need to know.
Obviously.
It's a great movie. If you've seen the movie, that's fantastic. If you haven't seen the movie, it's got Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes are the two characters that are the two main leads. And what happens is a guy from the 90s, or the late 80s, the early 90s, is frozen in time for a crime. And then also one of the cops from that era commits a minor crime and is also frozen in time. But they're reawoken in the 21st century, much later. And Taco Bell has become this prime restaurant on top of everything else. All the main restaurants are Taco Bell, the best of the best. All the high-class people are going there. But really, it's a pretty fun sci-fi movie that's it's got two people out of time, and it's just fun for that reason. I love that. Anybody who's brought out of time, plus you got Sandra Bullock in there. and you can't go wrong with Sandra Bullock. She's in the height of her career, right around the time of Speed. Demolition Man. I love it.
Nice. So Sean already told us about what scene he would put in. So what scene from Demolition Man would you put in your ride version?
Well, the scene I think I would choose is there's a scene in the middle of the movie where some people from the future, well, from his point of view, the future, are there. They've had dinner at this fancy Taco Bell, which would have to feature in the ride prominently. Very important.
You should enter Taco Bell.
It's the restaurant at the end of the ride.
It's very, very important.
We have Taco Bell gift cards in the gift shop.
It's super. Exactly.
It would sell out.
And imagine how much a Taco Bell at a theme park could charge, or what your dollar menu would add up to.
Your $6 cravings menu. Yeah.
Oh, God.
But
one chip for $6.
Exactly. The scene I would have, it's actually tough to choose between these two scenes. I'm going to go with that scene where they have some futuristic cars on the street. There's a futuristic, really nice Taco Bell. And then these people from the underground have come up. And we can kind of see them coming up from underground to attack and try to steal food. Because in this movie, everything looks great on the surface of Earth. But underground, we've got, all of these people who couldn't make it. And so they're living this sort of subculture. It's not like homelessness. It's even more so. We've got thousands and thousands of people living under the city in, the sewers. And they come up and they try to rise up. And I think that would be the scene I would choose. People might not understand why we chose that scene, but there's a lot of cool animatronics in that scene. Plus, it gets to feature the Taco Bell. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you had me at Taco Bell. That's it.
Yeah, I might go there after.
Awesome.
That'd be a good idea.
All right, Sean, we're going to start off with you again. You're my favorite. We're going to wrap it up. We already had a little homage to this movie, this horror movie in the Great Movie Ride, The Sixth Sense.
I see dead people.
Thank you, Chris, for whispering it. Not everybody did, and that's how it was written in the script. So
I see dead people.
Nope, that's not how you do it. That's not. Nope, not at all.
I've been so excited too. Look at this, guys.
I see dead people.
I left out the at the beginning, and I got a ton of shit for that.
So, tell us why it's your favorite horror movie.
I think I just enjoy the characterization, the whole concept in it. I really enjoy watching it back once you know what the ending is. You probably know by now. In fact, we're gonna have to talk about the twist ending.
Spoilers.
The twist ending.
Because that's actually gonna lead into what we're gonna do with our character as we were.
Willie Tweed.
Well, I mean, we've already spoiled it. I mean, we said the most famous quote. So if you haven't seen it, I mean, you're an uncultured swine. So obviously.
Yeah, sure. They don't know they're dead. Cole is there to help them. So our tour guide is going to have to play the role of Cole and make Bonnie or Clyde realize they in fact died in the shootout.
That's right. We did talk about that. We did talk about their picture. We'll continue with yours. We're going to finish yours off, Sean, and then we'll jump over to Steve. So let's go. What scene would you wrap up the bandit portion of the ride with?
Well, it has to be the scene at the end. I guess Cole's going to have to go for a walk with the gangster tour guide, and they're going to have to come to the realization that they've been wounded the entire time.
Perfect. Simple. I love it. All right, Steve, we're going to jump over to yours. Yours was actually my number 2 on my episode, but we didn't talk about it because we spent 45 minutes talking about Scream. We are going to talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street. Great movie, great killer. I love it. But tell me why you love it.
I think, for me, the reason I love A Nightmare on Elm Street, it doesn't even have to do with the one single movie. It has to do with the iconic imagery of Freddy Krueger that is invented in this picture. Here we have a man burned. We have this complete scary creature who's got the claws for the hands. He's got the fedora. He's got the sweater. He looks like a regular guy until you get up close and you realize this is a person literally from your nightmares. And
yeah. I don't trust anybody with a fedora.
No, you just can't because
I'm glad I'm not wearing one right now. That would have been a problem.
Maybe not at the moment, but other time. I believe, one of our colleagues even gotten to get a fedora even as we speak. But the important thing is, oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Oh, Dave, no.
Dave's in the background with a fedora. There we go. Now I'll get him to sing "Blood on the Saddle." No,
I'm Cowboy Kruger. Cowboy Kruger.
Did you guys know that Robert Englund actually cut his hand the first time he ever tried on the prop glove?
I didn't know that. No.
Oh wow.
Apparently, I read it on the internet. Who knows if it's true? But apparently he did.
Sounds believable.
Well, it came from the internet.
Gotta be right. But
so continue. Sorry, Fedora.
When you have a character like Freddy Krueger that transcends one movie and becomes part of an identifiable genre, because when you think of horror, you think of a couple of things. You think of Jason from his movies, Friday the 13th. You think of Freddy Krueger, and then maybe you think of some of the Universal classic horror monsters. But those two iconic figures, and for me it was always Freddy who was the first. The idea of dying in a dream and then dying in real life, that's absolutely horrifying. I could go to bed right now and have a nightmare. If I die in that dream, do I die in real life? I mean, that's the kind of thing that really makes it hard to fall asleep, and to me, that makes a great horror movie.
But I completely agree with everything you said. I mean, like, I, to this day, like, have a dilemma going to bed. Do I cover my feet? Do I not cover my feet?
Exactly.
If I cover my feet, is Freddy going to get me? Do I go to sleep? I think during this pandemic and the quarantine, I was worried more about Freddy than Corona when I would eventually fall asleep. But so, with that big of an icon and that big of a movie and series, what scene would you put instead of Anubis and replace the bandit or gangster, switching with the tour guide?
Like, this is such a tough scene to choose because I almost want to go outside the movie and just go with Freddy in general because it's such an iconic thing. I would probably take us into, like, a house, a dark house that's lit with, like, the blue lights like they saw in the movie, you know, like the way it was nighttime in the house. I would take us into there, I would imagine, and then have the character get off, not believe in the nightmare of Freddy, and then maybe the character nods off at the wheel before he even gets off the vehicle, and that's where it is.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I always used to fall asleep at movie, right? No, but no, the reality of it. No, I say the character falls asleep at the wheel as a part of the gag, and then Freddy just has his way with them up there in every way that can possibly mean. And
Hot.
Finishes it off. It's just, it's an amazing, to me, that's what that would be. Because it would be the everyman's house, you know, anybody's house. This could be your house. This could be anybody's. But as soon as you fall asleep, you're not safe. And I think that's what I would do. I wouldn't even use a scene from the movie. I would just use that. And then tour guide's down. I'm sorry, the character is asleep. And then, boom, lighting change, right? You get some purples and some blues on there to make it look like we're in a dream sequence. And then the rest is history. Freddy goes to town.
Oh, that's awesome. I really like that.
That's pretty, that's pretty, huh?
It's still second to my Scream idea because it's my idea, but I like that. No, no, it's great. So this is the part where I go away. Yeah, I die because of Freddy and then realize I've actually been dead the whole time and Freddy didn't have to actually kill me.
But I did, and I'm Freddy. Man, that would be so cool to be the tour guide, and you get to be Freddy Krueger and just come down and
imagine with the glove.
Yeah. Make that noise too.
See dead people.
Oh my god.
So we're gonna go in the drama, and now that they've taken over the ride, Gabe's not here to say anything because he's muted. And Forrest Gump. Sean, is your favorite drama, continuing, like you were saying earlier, your love of Robert Zemeckis? What makes it a favorite of yours?
I think Tom Hanks' performance in it is brilliant, and I love the way it takes you through 40 years or so of history, through the eyes of this very simple person, who in some ways is smarter than all the people around him.
Amen to that. That was a nutshell reason of why you like Forrest Gump. For Steven...
That's a good answer. I'm still kind of dumbfounded. I'm like, oh, good answer.
That was,
good soundtrack, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Very good soundtrack. Steven, you have listed for your favorite drama that wasn't really listed that we just asked you randomly. The Outsiders, the Coppola film. from 1983. I've never seen it, so tell me about it and what makes it a favorite.
It's a really cool movie for me. It's a Coppola picture. It's really cool. It's a coming-of-age drama for kids. Well, not kids, but people, middle school and a little bit older in high school, too. And we actually watched this movie in school. That's when I first saw it. And I thought that was kind of neat. And I was like, I can't believe we're doing this in school. Yeah, Gabe, you saw it in school, too, yeah. I just thought it was such a unique picture. It kind of stuck with me then, but I revisited it several years later because they filmed it in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I lived there for a while. And when I was there, I was finding out more about the movie they'd done and this and that. So I went back and revisited it. And I think it's one of those movies that works the way that, kind of like the way Stand By Me works. It's like, it is a coming of age. It is something that you'll be thinking about afterwards that you'd seen. But it's also, I mean, even though there are a lot of sad things happen in it, some characters are killed in that movie, it's still, it just leaves you afterwards thinking like, wow, this kid made it, or that, however you want to take the ending of the movie. But it's a pretty good film, I think, and it's one that's always stuck with me as a drama.
All right. Again, I've never seen it, but it's about rival gangs in school, and one of them is murdered, and I guess the aftermath of said killing. So that's and it's kind of hell of a
scene for me too. Yeah,
hell of a cast,
the cast
too.
On this movie.
Oh
is
my
ridiculous.
God.
I was going to say the same thing. Everybody's in there. Rob Lowe's in there. Ralph Macchio's in there. Patrick Swayze. Emilio
Tom
Estevez.
Cruise. Emilio.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
I took Tom Cruise last. Yeah.
I remember the only reason I watched it was because of like school. Like we read the book and then we watched the movie afterwards. It's like, man, here's your special treat. You get to watch the movie now and stuff.
It was
but then I watched
it was not having to do work.
Yeah, exactly. But then I watched it a couple years ago and it still holds up. It's still very good and you're like so into it. And I'm just like, man.
It does.
I need to check it out. That's I'm gonna put it on my watch list. That's happening. All right.
I definitely recommend it.
I will, adding it to my watch list right now, actually. I got an app for that.
If you do,
Sean, Forrest Gump.
I promise you that.
I will. Sean, your scene for Forrest Gump that you would add to the drama section of Movie Ride. What are you thinking?
If we can't have the scene where Jenny is on stage with a guitar and nothing else, I think you have to go with the scene of just Forrest sitting on his bench with his box of chocolates and talking to us a little bit. I think when you think of iconic things from Forrest Gump, that's the first thing that pops to mind. So I think you'd have to do some variation on that, maybe with a few different things going on around him, maybe even projections behind him of some of his memories that he's talking about.
I say you put the New Year's scene where Lieutenant Dan is just so pissed in his wheelchair while everybody's popping the confetti around him. That just makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're right. I withdraw everything I said.
And
you uncultured swine.
We're gonna make a Lieutenant Dan the ride, and it's just you sitting on Lieutenant Dan. It's Lieutenant Dan in his wheelchair, and you sit on him in his wheelchair and ride whatever crazy ride that we create. That's the Lieutenant Dan ride. I don't know.
Yeah, there's never been a wheelchair ride system before where the vehicles are.
That would be, the wheelchair is the ride.
Park actual wheelchairs on.
That would be Inception. Chairception.
Chairception.
Yeah.
We'll think of something. Steven, what about you and the Outsiders? You were saying the...
For me, the scene that sticks with me the most in the Outsiders would be probably horrible to put into a ride, but I would still want to do it anyway. There's a part where one of the main characters, Ponyboy, runs away from home with his friend Johnny. It's late at night, and they meet up with 3 members of the rival gang in a park who are all drunk. And there's a scene where the Ponyboy is getting dunked in a fountain, and while that happens, Johnny pulls out a switchblade and stabs one of the other gangsters, and he dies. And that's kind of like, oh my gosh, we've killed somebody here. And that's not fun for a ride, but it was the most memorable scene in the movie for me because everything changed in Johnny's life right then and there. Because yes, he was protecting his friend, but I just killed this guy, and we're like kids. What are we gonna do? They're young adults, if anything. They're teens maybe, but it's really it stuck with me forever because like this kid's life was permanently. One kid's life was permanently ended, and then another kid's life is permanently kind of destroyed. He's killed somebody.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be a fun scene for the kids to watch as we rode through. Yeah.
This depressing thing. But then you go into animation, and Sean's favorite animated movie, and then it just gets worse from there. So, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, of course. So, we are in animation now, and Sean, your favorite is The Emperor's New Groove. Wrong lever. Tell me what makes it a favorite of yours, or your all-time favorite.
That's as far as my favorite Disney animated thing to watch. It's the only thing that's really just a straight-up comedy that is made, kind of make you laugh out loud, and it's just one I can always enjoy. It may not be the best one, but it's my favorite one to watch. And David Spade is great in it, and John Goodman, and Patrick Warburton, and
Patrick Warburton,
Eartha Kitt. Just so many great performances in it that are just very funny. Lots of great chemistry, and just very, very funny writing.
I agree. We'll go ahead and ask what your scene that you would put on the ride, and it doesn't have to be like a screen that's stuck on a tornado that wasn't really finished. It could be whatever you if you want.
I think you'd have to recreate what happens after they pull the wrong lever. Like going through basically Yzma's lair.
That would be pretty great.
With the different potions going off around you. Some of the characters get turned into, some of the guests on the vehicle get turned into giraffes and elephants. And potions are available.
Are we projecting these animals on them, or are they legit getting changed into animals?
No, this is legit. You said we had an unlimited budget. We were absolutely turning guests into elephants, and we're not turning them back. At least not for an extra, without an extra fee involved.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's all about those hidden fees.
For Steven, this is a huge favorite of mine. I got to see it in the theater recently. They did a Fathom event for this, and no one else showed up, so I was the only one in there, and I was very sad that no one else showed up.
Theater for this.
But I had my own theater for this.
I wish I could have been there. That's awesome. Yeah.
Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. My God, what a movie! And
it's such a picture.
Kevin Conroy, the voice, he will always be my favorite Batman. I'm a huge fan of all the live-action versions of Batman that have happened, but I gotta say, just the tone and the voice, and I'm a huge fan of the series, and I've gotten to meet Adam West and talk about the Grey Ghost with him, which was one of my favorite. I wouldn't call him a villain, but he was.
That was one of the best episodes.
It was one of the best because he was like the inspiration to Bruce and being a hero as Batman. It was just wonderful to see one Batman be the hero to Batman. It was but Mask of the Phantasm,
passing the torch. Yeah.
Exactly. And so
oh my gosh,
I could go on about Mask of the Phantasm. I want to, but we can't. We'll just do a ride for it another day. What about
the whole Batman the animated series ride? Yeah,
exactly. We'll do it, and we'll be animated the whole time. What about this movie?
We'll be cartoons. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I always am. What about this movie? Yeah, what does it for you?
What the question would be, what doesn't do it for me? What doesn't do it for any Batman fan? But going back to Kevin Conroy, the actor who plays Batman, just for a minute, and Mark Hamill, who plays the Joker in this movie.
Oh yeah.
It's so iconic that if I read a Batman comic book or see a Batman picture that has dialogue in it of any kind, it's Kevin's voice I read that in. No matter what. Or Mark's voice if it's the Joker, unless it's specifically a picture of a different Joker, Mm-hmm. But they're just so iconic as their characters. And the thing about this movie is, if you were to read a plot synopsis, or if you were to... yes, it's a cartoon, but that doesn't even matter. This is a Batman movie. It's a great story. It talks about Bruce becoming Batman, and some things with his past when a girl comes back, and most importantly, it has him versus the Joker in probably my favorite Batman versus Joker confrontation at a World's Fair that has been run down for several years.
Yeah.
And when it's time for me to talk about what my scene in the ride is, that's what it's going to be. It's when regular-sized Batman is in a miniature city, and the Joker is standing there with an Empire State Building hat on, so that Batman can't see him. I almost gave away.
You just spoiled who he is.
Why is Bruce Wayne dressed like Batman?
But the thing is, he is Batman, you idiot. Batman Returns. There it is. Yeah. Was. Anyway, there was a... it's just such a great movie. And I guess, even though it wasn't really in this part of the scene, you kind of have to have the Phantasm off to the side with, like, some steam on the character.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just because, it's Batman Mask of the Phantasm, and I'm talking about Joker versus Batman. But, it's so good. It's so good.
And I remember the first time seeing it and discovering that she's the Phantasm. Man. Spoiler alert, everyone.
I know. And I started to say that. You saw it. I was
lost
like, if you haven't seen it yet, see it.
Lost it.
That was interesting thing, though. If this isn't necessarily important to the plot here, but as a toy collector myself, I don't want to get too off topic, but when the toys for this movie came out, before the movie came out, they actually spoiled that because it was a figure of Andrea Beaumont that came with a Phantasm helmet piece.
That's right. You just put over her.
It was spoiled before it came out. Yeah, like. It was so unique.
Well, I'm glad I never saw the toy before I saw the movie, or else I would have been writing some letters, man.
Because those toys came out before the movie, and that's like the plot spoiler of the movie.
Oh,
so, I mean, it's been out for like 30 years now. So if you haven't seen it,
and you said your scene that you would put on the ride for animation would be the one where he's walking in the town, and Joker's got the
he's It's what it is, it's, for those listening, if you haven't seen the movie, it's a World's Fair from, like, 30 or 40 years ago that's all dilapidated, and Joker's taken over the House of the Future and uses it as his base. And the next room after the House of the Future is this giant cityscape. Like, you can picture some of the rides like Peter Pan or E.T. where you fly over cities, miniature cities. It's kind of like that, but you're just passing through it in the middle. And so Batman was about the size of the buildings, and then Joker's standing there with an Empire State Building like helmet on, ready to attack him.
Blending
in.
That's
the scene for me.
Yeah.
Blending in.
It's
in
great.
his purple outfit.
And Hamill's Joker, for him to do Star Wars and to be the Joker is just it's the greatest thing ever. It really is. I agree.
To be both Luke Skywalker and the Joker. That's what a guy.
What a guy.
Mark Hamill.
What a guy. And now he's done What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, yeah.
Which is also wonderful. So we're coming into comedy, and this will be the Oz scene, because we didn't really have comedy on the ride. We've said it many times on the show. This is where we talk about it.
When I was there.
I see what you did there, sir.
Tut.
Yeah. And Sean, you have the Austin Powers series as one of your favorites. Not just one of the movies, but the whole series. I can only imagine why you picked all of them. But what about them just stands out as a comedic series to you?
I think it was just something I would watch over and over again as a teenager. And Mike Myers playing, first two characters, then three, and ultimately four in that last one, all being very, very funny. Probably the one I watched the most of the three was The Spy Who Shagged Me. I don't necessarily think that was that probably wasn't the best one, but it was the one I watched the most, the one that I kind of remember the most, and I think I was the right age for that one. It's about 12 when that one came out. I was maybe a little bit young when the first one came out, so some of the jokes flew over my head at that point.
Yeah, a lot of the innuendo, just if you were too young, you just...
Yeah, I think I was mostly there with the first one, but not quite. By the time the second one came, I was right. I was just the right level of immaturity to really. The third one was fun. Third one might have jumped the shark a little bit, but still.
I'm still at that level of immaturity.
This is true. Fine. This is true. And can we talk about the double bill with Mike Myers and Mike Myers? And in some cases, triple bill with the addition of, again, Mike Myers.
It's pronounced Kill Bill, you uncultured swine.
Oh, God.
You uncultured swine!
Just don't.
I think there were about 2 years of my life where I talked almost exclusively like Dr. Evil.
Only 2 years?
He's doing it right now.
I was going to say.
It's sort of a Lorne Michaels impersonation.
This is a little Lorne Michaels.
Is what I later found out is where he got the voice.
Interesting. This is Lorne Michaels.
That would make a lot of sense, actually. I always loved Mini-Me. Go, eee! Just funniest thing. What now out of all three Austin Powers, is there a Is there a? We got to think of a moment to put in this. I don't know.
Like, I think. Do you go through?
How do you pick
like
one?
the opening credits of the second movie where like all the animatronics are naked, but there are things strategically placed in front of the naughty bits?
The naughty bits.
You know, but it'd be harder in 3 dimensions to make sure you couldn't see that.
Oh God!
And of course, you'd have to build them to be anatomically correct. Certainly, the blast off of the big boy into space would be a good one. Or the whole scene on the moon at the end of the second one.
There's so many things you could do, and we always try to think of something to be interactive.
I mean, Dr. Evil's lair is probably my favorite part. So maybe we could just have that meeting where Dr. Evil's at the head of the table and he's sending some of his employees into fire pits.
Oh, God.
www.shh.com.
Oh, yeah. I forgot all about the great stuff with Seth Green. I didn't even mention that.
Oh,
I think that was my introduction to Seth Green.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Pre-Robot Chicken. For Steven, you have The Big Lebowski as your favorite comedy. And what about it is your...
Fun one.
It really is.
The first thing you have to understand about The Big Lebowski is that in all of the best possible ways, my father is The Big Lebowski. My dad is Jeff Lebowski, played by Jeff Bridges. It's just so because he's that kind of guy. He's like the dude, he's chill all the time and this and that. Not as much of a slacker as the dude, and he doesn't bowl. But other than that, he's great, But it's just such a darn good movie to me because I assume everybody's probably seen the movie out there. He gets assaulted at one point. He learns that there's a millionaire that has the same name as him. And there's a kidnapping. It's hilarious. It's a good time for me. And as for like what I would do with it though, like on the ride, it would either be the bowling alley because every time I think about the movie, I think about the bowling alley because you got John Goodman in the movie and you got Jeff Bridges, and you got some good. And that's the part that I would go with. I think for me, like just I don't know what they'd even be saying to be honest. I haven't really thought that far ahead to be true, but like you hear bowling alley sounds and there they are, and there's some comedy lines going. And I had thought about at one point doing the part where they go in. And like I said, there was a kidnapping, and like they go but like that's more serious. I mean, it's still funny, but on the ride when we're just in a room for a minute or so, like something funnier would be appropriate.
Yeah, if you wanted to make it interactive, the tour guide could step off and try a shot at bowling, and there's like a live actual bowling lane there.
And take a round, step down one of the lanes every time you throw a ball, yeah.
Yeah, that would actually be funny.
I'm into it. There's a working bowling alley on one of the lanes just so
the show would vary wildly.
If we go 101 but the bowling lane is still working, that would be the highlight of working there.
Oh, man. That's where we're going. I know. Where are we at? We're on Lebowski. Thanks.
Be almost as good as our old gangster dance parties.
Oh, man.
Gangster dance parties. Well, that is around the track. Gentlemen, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for helping us round out the season because you guys are coming back next episode for the GMR Game Show finale, which yes. Gabe likes to call the GMR Show Gabe Show.
And if you pronounce it any different way, then you're wrong.
So,
well, I wouldn't be an uncultured swine and call it anything but the GMR Gabe Show.
Yeah, the GMR Show Gabe Show. So thank you guys for...
That'll actually be one of our categories, the uncultured swine.
Uncultured swine.
The uncultured swine.
Unfortunately, I've already finished the...
I'm going to embarrass myself on that show.
I've already finished the game show, the game board, so we'll have to save uncultured swine for next seasons. Because
Season 2
how this
finale.
is going to work. Yeah, so how this is going to work, or at least how I've come to the conclusion of it, whoever wins between the two of you and Mr. Dave Fesky, who will be our third contestant, will return next season as the GMR Show Game Show champion to try to hold on to their title, just like Jeopardy, because that's what we're doing. We're playing
a lot like Jeopardy,
movie Jeopardy, and I think it would be appropriate. And we may, if it goes well, have multiple episodes of Game Show and still try to have the...
I'm going to try to get as far into the negatives as possible. My charity that I'm sponsoring actually owes a lot of money.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Wait,
$1, Bob. $1.
Charity?
$1. $1.
But we'll
give me $10 and I'll take that off the stage.
Well, Celebrity Jeopardy. They always have a charity, so I assume that's what we were doing. And again, my charity they're completely wiped out. And anyone they were trying to help.
Wow.
I actually give a lot.
I think highly of yourself, huh? Celebrity.
We're all pretty wiped out. So thank you both, gentlemen, for coming on the show. We've had a wonderful time.
I wrap it up too.
I think I don't know if Galaxy Quest was my favorite, especially then when we started saying that the Taco Bell.
What a choice!
The Taco Bell
the
featured
Taco Bell
at Galaxy Quest, the land or whatever.
Because it's the future. Yeah, in Galaxy Quest.
Well, you all know which one
Quest
my
Edge.
favorite is.
Back to the Future 3, of course. Oh no, that might be my favorite, where the bandit just comes out and points at his or her crotch. I don't know.
Just doesn't say anything. Motions you in, points down, gets on the car, goes.
And they have to hold the motion there until the light turns green for you to go, or else you just stand out in the
if you have a block light, your finger is on your.
Yeah, no, you're gonna fail your training if you screw up the crotch pointing.
You're pointing at your crotch until we're out of there.
Oh god.
You can stay as a tour guide, but you're not being a character at that point.
Oh man. Gabe, do you got anything before we head out, sir? He's muted.
I'm back. Sorry, I'm cooking as
good.
well. No, it was a lot of fun. A lot of shenanigans. A lot of Chris's internet acting up. But thanks guys so much for coming. Had a blast. Can't not wait for the game show. That's going to be even more shenanigans, especially with Dave.
Wonderful. Yes, so we will have Mr. Cumberland and Mr. Newport back next episode for the GMR Show, quote-unquote, Gabe Show. And Mr. Dave Fesky will be coming in as our third contestant for that. So we'll see you for the finale of the GMR Show. Thank you all for listening. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time. The Great Movie Radio Show is recorded in Orlando, Florida. You can visit our website at www.thegmrshow.com. Art direction and logo design provided by Mr. Bayless. Voiceover and intro work provided by Dave Fesky and Joe Erickson. You can find our podcast on multiple platforms, such as Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and many more. Music provided by the YouTube Audio Library. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Just search The Great Movie Radio Show or The GMR Show. This has been The Great Movie Radio Show. We hope you enjoy your day, and we'll see you at the movies. The stuff dreams are made of. Goodbye, everyone.
You have been listening to a GMR radio production.